All right. Welcome to our film archive. This is the newest American cinema group, the Filmmakers Co-op. We're the oldest, largest distributor of experimental avant-garde alternative media, founded in 1961 by a group of 22 New York artists like Adolphus Mekas, Jonas Mekas, Shirley Clark, and part of the counter-culture movement against Hollywood, against censorship. And so we have a lot of experimental personal vision artists who focused on breaking the taboos. And one of the big taboos in the 60s that was censored was gay culture, drag, and the homosexuality. So we have Flaming Creatures by Jack Smith. All of his films now been preserved by the Barbara Gladstone Gallery. But in '63, Flaming Creatures, everybody was arrested. Not Jack Smith, because he didn't go to the theater, but Ken Jacobs, Flo Jacobs, Jonas Mekas, for showing men in drag, because that was considered a perversion. And this archive is an archive of early experimental and current filmmakers who challenge the status quo, who find new narratives, new content, new forms to express original ideas and content. This is Johnny Minotaur by Charles Henry Ford. This is Poem Posters. Charles Henry Ford was a filmmaker in the 60s. He's the first to write have a journal called View, V-U, on surrealism. And Poem Posters he made silk screens. His name was Ford. He had a whole show of silk screens. Has everybody in it. Edie Sedgwick and Andy Warhol, Jonas Mekas, Shirley Clark. Edie's really and Mae West. Charles Henry Ford loved Mae West. So as we go back here, here's Carol Lee Schneeman's work, Fuses. Carol Lee was one of the pioneers of performance art, painting, and filming herself and breaking down this barrier between public and private space, filming herself making love. And it's a very romantic film, Fuses. It's silent. It's her and James Tenney. And over here we have Maureen Menken's diary films. Maureen Menken, Andy Warhol. Menken filmed, and the only filmmaker to film Warhol in his factory doing silk screens. And his Brillo series is in this. Now, who we're looking for now is Rodriguez Soltero. José Rodriguez Soltero's films are amazing. And Lupe is one of my all-time favorite early films, early drag. Mario Montez is in it. And it's sort of a diary film about Lupe Velez, who was the first superstar in Hollywood. She was called the Mexican Spitfire, who became a drug addict. And this is the most sensitive, beautiful portrait about her. It's sympathetic. It has Spanish. It's kind of like a Latino melodrama, but it's also heart-wrenching because Lupe Velez, when she died of an overdose, and Andy Warhol did a portrait using Edie Sedgwick, where Warhol has Edie playing a junkie when she was a junkie. José Rodriguez Soltero has Lupe played by Mario Montez, who stars in Flaming Creatures. But Mario Montez said this was his favorite role, playing Lupe Velez. And when it's very lovely, it's very impressionistic, and when Lupe dies at the end, the film, instead of having her go in the ground and be forgotten, José Rodriguez Soltero is empathetic, and he shows compassion. He has her ascend like into the heavens, dancing through this diaphanous layering of woods, and so she's no longer in pain. She's left her physical body, and now she's a free spirit. And I thought, this is the most beautiful film about such a tragic subject. Now, and Mario Montez said, José Rodriguez, here it is right here. Soltero was his favorite director that he worked with, Lupe. And we have a new print, and you're going to see it. And we also have a new print of Jerovi, which is about the myth of narcissism. And the other good news is that we have a film that José Rodriguez Soltero was very political. He was Puerto Rican, and he had a passion for what he was doing, for his life, and for the people in his life. And he did a Dialogues with Che. In 1968, it's reading from Che Guevara's diaries, and he has Rolando Pena playing Che. He looks just like Che. And it's in Spanish. It's a double screen projection. It hasn't been seen since 1968. And it's not here because it's in the lab. I was able to get money from the New York National Film Preservation Board, and for the first time they're going to preserve it. So we will hopefully by the end of this year, beginning of next year, be able to show José Rodriguez Soltero's masterpiece, Dialogues with Che, the double screen projection. So José Rodriguez Soltero had to work full time. I knew him. He had a great sense of humor, and I very much wanted him to preserve this film, and Lupe, because I thought, and I'm not only me, but I thought it was a masterpiece of early queer culture. And José Rodriguez Soltero wasn't recognized. It was kind of left out of the narrative of the avant-garde or the new American cinema, and I think he's a pivotal, important figure. So now that we're preserving and digitizing his work, I'm hoping to be able to emphasize his work and make it visible along with Barrios's films. So he was a performance art. Also, he has drag in it, and Charles Lum from the Living Theater is in it playing a lesbian who's after Lupe. It actually has a scene in Max's Kansas City that has such a feel of cinema verte. Feels like a documentary where they're dancing, there's music, and there's a woman, full body, there's a woman stripping there, and it's so immediate and intimate. And he didn't make a lot of films, but the films he made were like jewels. So I thought, I'm glad that you're going to be able to see this film, and I hope you will enjoy the film, write about the film. And I've been trying, and I really want it to be more visible on the internet. I actually, the National Gallery of Art in 2011, in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the New American Cinema, said, we're going to put together some programs. So I said, show Flaming Creatures. And with Flaming Creatures, I showed Lupe. And someone said to me, that people were coming up to me going, why don't we know this film? We all know Flaming Creatures. why haven't you put it on the internet? Why haven't you? Well, I didn't have it digitized. And how it ended up, first it was to preserve it. We only had one print. It went to Paris, and Jan Beauvais was trying to preserve it at Lycombe. Then the funding wasn't there. So eventually the Andy Warhol Foundation preserved it, but didn't digitize it. So I have a story about the print itself that we saw. I wanted the print back so that I could eventually digitize it. So I called Jose, and Jose came into the co-op, and he said, here I am, Sarah, here Mary Magdalene, Sarah. This is your print of Lupe for you to make visible, for you to show. And I'm going to die. And I said, Jose, this is great. I'm going to digitize it. And he said, yes, I'm going to make it visible. And then he said, I'm dying. And I said, I said, you're melodramatic. I don't believe it. He said, yes, I am. I'm dying. I have cancer, cirrhosis of the liver, and he, one of the last things he did was give this print to me, to the Filmmakers Co-op, so we would make it visible and you would be able to see it. And Lynn Sachs could talk about it and show it. And I was able to get it scanned by the best scanner, Jeff Krines. So he said to me, I want to show you how great the scanner is. I said, I have a film I want you to scan to prove it. And that was Lupe. He scanned the film. So enjoy the film and think of, be patient with the film and think of the beauty of the material and the originality. And remember, it's in the 60s.